I have books to read. I'm just going to do all three of them at once. We're on the Chronicles. The story, right? The story behind this one. Well, what happened was, I put money in the Chronicles page. I don't look, it's random. And it just so happened to be the Chronicles page. And then, sometime later, just recently, someone with an Indian accent phoned, saying they're from Sky. Hold on, I'll switch this thing off. Saying they're from Sky and calling my name Thomas. And I was like, no, my name's not Thomas and I don't have Sky. And they were, well, who are you with? And it was like that. Well, I wasn't nasty or anything to them, but anyway. Later that day, I don't watch TV, and I went to my parents. And I stayed there the night. And on TV was Lawrence of Arabia, and his name is Thomas. And I was watching it, and I mean, I can draw parallels to me and him. The pain thing. I get that because I put myself through pain. I cut myself. I break my hand. I don't intentionally break my foot, but I keep using it when it's broken. I get myself into positions that are painful and hold them for a long time, like balancing on the bath, on my tiptoes with my fingers touching the ceiling. I used to do it with the sword as well. Standing at attention with a sword drawn and holding it up. Is this music too loud? Turn this music down. I don't care about copyright shit. But I want music in the background, right? I'm painting today. And I'm happy with it. It's going to be a painting that I can turn upside down. Well, there is not going to be an upside down or a right side up. But I haven't quite got to the point of. Well, it's a horizontal painting. It's landscape. I haven't got to the point of being able to change it from landscape to portrait, but that's a possible. But that's not the way it tends to work. But I did that with one of the digital paintings I did. I tried to do that, I think, did I? Yeah, I did. I tried to do a lot of things. I mean, there was even a corpse there with a pint sitting on top of him. And other stuff. Anyway. I've been taking money out of the Bible because I run out of money. But I didn't actually run out of money. I had money, but I thought I'd run out of money. But anyway, I need to put money back in the book, so I have to read this stuff now. I've stopped writing my journal. I did say till October. That was what the journal was called, the until October journal. And my computer did something, and then I went into hospital for a couple of days. That stopped it. That stopped the journal. This Bible I have, it's the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. I think it's pretty much the same as any other version, apart from it uses the word Jehovah instead of God, and I changed it back. When I read it, I change it back to God. The first word is Jehovah on this page, and I'll be saying God. God. It's page 614. 2 Chronicles 7:22. First word is Jehovah, last word is Ace. On that column. What's the last word? CR. No, say it doesn't work on the first column. Right, God. King David had made these instruments for giving thanks to God, for his loyal love endures forever when David would offer praise with them. And the priests were loudly sounding the trumpets in front of them, while all the Israelites were standing. Then Solomon sanctified the middle of the courtyard that was before the house of God, for there had to offer up the burnt offerings and the fat pieces in the communion sacrifices, because the copper altar that Solomon had made could not contain the burnt sacrifices, the grain offerings, and the fat pieces. At that time Solomon held the festival for 7 days, together with all Israel, a very great congregation from Lebanon down to Wadi of Egypt. But on the 8th day they held a solemn assembly, because they had held the inauguration of the altar for 7 days and the festival for 7 days. Then on the 23rd day of the 7th month he sent the people away to their homes, rejoicing and feeling glad of heart over the goodness that God had shown to David and Solomon and Israel his people. Thus Solomon finished the house of God and the house of the king, and everything that came into Solomon's heart to do regarding the house of God and his own house he accomplished successfully. God then appeared to Solomon during the night and said to him, I have heard your prayer, and I have chosen this place for myself as a house of sacrifice. When I shut up the heavens and there is no rain, and when I command the grasshoppers to devour the land, and if I send a pestilence among my people, if my people on whom my name has been called humble themselves, and pray and seek my face, and turn away from their evil ways, then I will hear from the heavens and forgive their sin and heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to prayer at this place. And now I have chosen and sanctified this house, so that my name may be there permanently, and my eyes and my heart will always be there. And you, if you walk before me as your father David walked, by doing everything I have commanded you, and you obey my regulations and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of your kingship, just as I made a covenant with your father David, saying, there will never fail to be a man of your line ruling over Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments that I have put before you, and you go and serve other gods and bow down to them, I will uproot Israel from my land that I have given them, and this house that I have sanctified for my name I will cast out of my sight, and I will make it an object of scorn and a cause of ridicule among all the peoples. And this house will become heaps of ruins. Everyone passing it by it will starve in amazement and will say, why did God do that to this land and this house? Then they will say, it was because they abandoned God, the God of their forefathers who had brought them out of the land of Egypt, and they embraced other gods and bowed down to them and served them. That is why he brought all this calamity on them. At the end of 20 years, during which Solomon built the house of Jehovah and his own house, Solomon rebuilt the cities that Hiram had given Solomon and settled the Israelites there. Furthermore, Solomon went to Hamath-Azabah and captured it. Then he built up Tadmor in the wilderness and all the storage cities, and he built in Hamath. He also built up Upper Beth-horon and Lower Beth-horon, fortified cities with walls, gates, and bars, and Baal-arath, as well as all of Solomon's storage cities, all chariot cities, the cities for the horsemen, and whatever Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem and Lebanon and in the land of his dominion. As for all the people who were left from the Hittites, the Amorites and the Pezerites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, who were not part of Israel, their descendants who were left in the land, those whom the Israelites had not exterminated, were conscripted by Solomon for forced labour until this day. But Solomon did not make any of the Israelites slaves for his work, for they were his warriors and the chiefs of his adjutants, and chiefs of his chariots and horsemen. There were 250 chiefs of the deputies of King Solomon, the foreman over the people. Solomon also brought Pharaoh's daughter up from the city of David to the house that he had built for her. For he said, although she is my wife, she should not dwell in the house of King David of Israel, for the place of which the ark of Jehovah has come are holy. Then Solomon offered up burnt sacrifices to God on the altar of God that he had built in front of the porch. He followed the daily routine and made offerings according to the commandment of Moses for the Sabbaths, the new moons, and the appointed festivals 3 times in the year, the festival of unleavened bread, the festival of weeks, and the festival of booths. Father appointed the divisions of the priests for their services according to the rule of his father David, and the Levites for their post of duty, to praise and to minister in the presence of the priests according to the daily routine, and the gatekeepers in their divisions for the different gates. For such was the commandment of David, the man of the true God. And I'll just interject here before I finish. My painting, that's what I'm thinking. The next thing to do was to do a gate. There's a new gate on my street here that got my attention. I was thinking about putting a gate into my painting next. It was going to be the next thing, but I've stopped for a break, and now I'm reading about gates. So yeah, and they did not deviate from the king's commandment to the priests and the Levites concerning any matter or concerning the storehouses. So Solomon's work was all well organized, from the day the foundation of the house of God was laid until it was finished, so the house of God was completed. Then it was that Solomon went to Ezion-geber and Eloth on the seashore in the land of Edom. Hiram sent him ships and experienced seamen by means of his own servants. They went with Solomon's servants to Ophir and took from there 450 talents of gold and brought it to King Solomon. Right, well that's the first one. Right, I'll pick my random place now. Get a tenner, give it a tenner. See these tenors hidden in books? Absolutely brilliant idea. I have tenors hidden in other places now. It's such a great thing to do. Well, I mean, it's trying to do it random because you kind of go, well, do I fancy the beginning, middle, or end? I'm thinking the end this time, but it's still random. How close to the end do we want it? That close. Yeah. Right. Right, so next book is the Bible according to Spike Milligan. Page 86. well, it starts halfway through a paragraph, but we'll keep this way as we were doing it. I tend to start from the top of the page, but then if it carries on, I go into the next page. But this one, it's the other way around. It's starting in a not so good place halfway through a sentence, but it finishes right on the end of a sentence. Which is what I like doing in my journal. I like finishing lines at the end of a line, you know? And I kind of get into that and doing other stuff. I do a lot of stuff in my writing. Had, by all with Joshua, £500 up to the day. Then he took Achan and gave him a jolly good stoning. Now the kings hereabout saw that Joshua did to the Ai. Verily, he beateth the shit out of them. Some of the insurance companies refuseth to pay some of the claims, so spies were sent to check on the children of Israel's army. Joshua saw them and said, Who are ye? They said, Amen, we are a band of strolling singers. Joshua, he loveth music, and bid the strolling singers to sing. So they singeth, and Joshua had them stoned to death. But they escapeth into the house of Rahab, which was no-go area. It was known these men were spies from the king of Ai, so Joshua led his army against the Ai, and burnt it, and made a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day, and it is called Camden Town. And the king of Ai hanged a tree till eventide. Then the body was taken down, thrown at the city gates, and raised thereon a great heap of stones, known to this day as East Finichley. Yes, I've been thinking about him. Finichley. Finichley is a town not far from here. There's a guy I knew. I think his name is Dan. I can't remember his name exactly, but he got caught stealing underpants from other people's washing line. And from the prisoners there were hews of wood, drawers of water, fixers of plumbing, unblockers of WCs, launderers and ironers, but prisoners were wrath. Among us there are princes and kings. Hard bloody luck, said Joshua. And it came to pass, the men of Gibeon called to Joshua, Help, we are being attacked by the Amorites. Joshua rose up, not too nigh, just enough to walk. He arriveth at Gibeon, but God had already smote the Ammonites' hip and thigh. That's where most of the injuries were. But lo, the Lord saith, Sun, stand still, and it stood still. So there was an extra time for Joshua to destroy the Amorites and go late shopping. Every now and then the Lord smote one or two with a hail of rocks, and there was no day like it before it or after it, Now it came to pass, Joshua and the children of Israel stopped slaying the enemy only because there was no more left, but 5 kings had been captured, and Joshua made them lie prostrate, and Joshua walketh on their necks, a real crowd pleaser. For an encore he slew them. When the applause died down, he cast them into a cave and blocked it with rocks. And the Lord blessed him and his people. And afterward Joshua read the words of the law, the blessings and the cursing, bugger, damn, blast. And that day Joshua took Makkedah, smote it with the edge of the sword. He utterly destroyed them. Next it was Libnah's turn, which was Israel's 6, Libnah 1, own goal. Then Joshua destroyed Lachish, Israel 7, Lachish 1. He and the Israelites went to destroy Eglon, Hebron, Debir, and everywhere the Israelites were victorious, because though it seemed a bit unfair, the Lord God fought for them, and he had archangels on the substitute bench. So Joshua and the Israelites went on devastating the country. With God on their side, they couldn't lose. God egged him on, "Be not afraid because of them. I will deliver them up all slain, and burn their houses and chariots with fire. They will be oven ready." Right, last book, the Quran. Surat 3inone, part 14, page 320. They are dead, not alive, and they know not when they will be raised up. You, God, is one God, Allah. None has the right to be worshipped but He. But for those who believe not in the hereafter, their hearts deny the faith in the oneness of God, and they are proud. I do the same with this as I change to God. God knows what they conceal and what they reveal. Truly He likes not the proud. And when it is said to them, "What is it that your Lord has sent down to Muhammad?" they say, "Tales of the men of old." They will bear their own burdens in full on the day of resurrection, and also of the burdens of those whom they misled without knowledge. Evil indeed is that which they shall bear. Those before them indeed plotted, but God struck at the foundation of their building, and then the roof fell down upon them from above them, and the torment overtook them from directions they did not perceive. Then, on the day of resurrection, He will disgrace them and will say, "Where are my so-called partners concerning whom you used to disgrace and dispute with the believers by defying and disobeying God?" Those who have been given the knowledge about the torment of God for the disbelievers will say, "Verily, disgrace and the misery this day are upon the disbelievers." Those whose lives the angels will take while they are doing wrong to themselves by disbelief and by associating partners in worship with God and by committing all kinds of crimes and evil deeds, then they will make false submissions, saying, "We used not to do any evil." The angels will reply, "Yes, truly, God is an all-knower of what you used to do. So enter the gates of hell to abide therein, and indeed what an evil abode will be for the arrogant." And when it is said to those who are the Muttaqin, the pious, "What is it that your Lord has sent down?" they say, "That which is good. For those who do good in this world, there is good, and the home of the hereafter will be better, and excellent indeed will be the home, paradise of the pious." Eden, paradise, gardens of eternity, which they will enter, under which rivers flow. They will have therein all that they wish. Thus Allah rewards the pious. Those whose lives the angels take while they are in a pious state, i.e. pure from evil, and worshipping none but God alone, saying to them, "Peace be on you, enter you paradise because of that, the good which you used to do in the world." Do they, the disbelievers and polytheists, await, but the angels should come to them to take away their souls at death, or there should come the command, i.e. the torment of the day of resurrection of your Lord. Thus did those before them, and Allah wronged them not, but they used to wrong themselves. Then the evil results of their deeds overtook them, and that at which they used to mock had surrounded them. Those who joined others in worship with God said, "If God had so willed, neither we nor fathers would have worshipped aught but Him, nor would we have forbidden anything without command from Him. So did those before them then. Are the messengers charged with anything but to convey clearly the message? And verily we have sent among every community nation a messenger proclaiming worship God alone, and avoid or keep away from all false deities. Do not worship anything besides God. And then of them were some who God guided, and of them were some upon whom the straying was justified. So travel through the land and see what was the end of those who denied the truth. If you, O Muhammad, covet their guidance, then verily God guides not those whom he makes to go astray, or none can guide him who God sends astray, and they will have no helpers. There we go.